Hi folks, Pete here from Ashton's Cars, and today we're looking at a Vauxhall Corsa. This is a 61 plate, so it's a late 2011 model, and it's the 1.4 litre SRI model. So it's kind of a warm hatchback version of the Corsa, if you like. It's no VXR, but it's no 1 litre base either, so it sits right in the middle of the range. Looks a little bit more sporty than your average Corsa, but it's still got the practicality, this one, of a 5-door hatchback body shell. So it's a great little car if you want something that looks cool, but it's still hugely practical and not too expensive to run. Now, this particular one's finished in a nice dark metallic blue. You will notice that it has got a slightly deeper front spoiler than your average Corsa. That's to signify it being the SRI spec. It's also got quite a nice set of alloy wheels, although there is a little bit of curbing on these ones, I'll be honest. But nevertheless, they do look quite visually appealing, and they're matched up with some nice side skirts that run down the side of the car there. Come round to the rear of the car, and you find it's also got a discreet but quite sporty looking rear spoiler there as well as a slightly, I think it's a slight bumper extension on the back as well on these SRI models. So they do stand out against the basic Corsa of this year. It doesn't look like you've got the 1.2, what would it have been? What would the base model have been back then? There was a club, wasn't there? LS, I don't know. I can't even remember. The SRI though was certainly sitting right up there on this sort of level. Not up as high obviously as the fire-breathing VXR models, but this one is the sort of more sensible but discreetly sporty version, and I quite like it for that. It also comes with a reasonable amount of equipment as well, this car, including rear parking sensors, which you can hopefully see on the back here. Now, you'll excuse the fact it has been raining. It's a little bit damp, this car is, as you can see by the ground. It's a little bit damp everywhere at the moment, but it is a very nice clean car, this. It was part exchanged by a local owner who was just looking to upgrade it, and they'd had it a number of years. We've done quite a few jobs on this car since it came into us. We've had a new MOT put on it. We've also had a brand new thermostat and thermostat housing on it, because it was reading the temperature wasn't reading warm enough, so we've changed that, and other than that, it's just had a quick clean really. So you'll excuse the fact it's not fully valeted, but it's been sort of checked over by the workshops, had a brand new MOT on it, and had any advisories that were brought up on that MOT done, so it's in pretty good shape. Now, I was toying with it being a very clean SRI model to have the wheels refurbished. They have got a few marks on them. I still think they look quite good, because they're quite a nice design, these big 5-spoke ones are. But what I will do is, if someone wishes to have them refurbished for an extra, I think it's about £200 we pay, I will have them refurbished in whatever colour you want. Because what tends to happen is, if I decide to refurbish them in silver, which is the colour I would probably refurbish them in, someone will come along and decide they want them done in black. So if you want this car to have refurbished wheels for £200, I'll have them. You can have them pink if you want, any colour you want. Personally, I'd probably stick with silver, but a lot of people do like the black and the greys on these wheels, so it's all down to personal taste. Anyway, back to the car. It's a good looking thing really, isn't it? It's unmistakably a Corsa, but they're very cheap to run. The parts are very plentiful, so they're quite a painless car to own, these are. And with these later sort of models of this shape, you get a little bit of extra chrome on them. They do look a little bit more grown up and a little bit like a junior Astra really, which is no bad thing. And let me show you the accommodation that you get on a Corsa. And as we do walk towards the back of it, look how straight this car is. There are no parking dinks, no nasty marks, just a little bit of moisture because it's a bit damp outside today. It's in very, very good nick, this car is. Same on this side. Normally you find these have had countless parking dinks and doors opened on them. This particular car though is in very, very good shape indeed. As I say, the wheels are the only thing that perhaps let it down slightly. This is by far the worst of them. Always catches the curbs, unfortunately, that inner front wheel. This is probably the second worst of them, but every single one of them has got the odd little mark on it, and if you're refurbing wheels, you may as well do all four, otherwise you end up with an odd one. Now, let's have a look at the boot. It's quite big. One of the things that this Corsa's got, which is quite cool, is you can put the seats, these back seats you see, that one's right back, but you can have them in a more upright position like that to extend your boot space slightly. And that's quite cool. It's still comfortable enough to sit in. If you want to put it back a little bit, you just press this button here and then it can click back like so. It's quite a nice little neat feature on them, that is, that you don't see in many cars. So it's quite well thought out. And the boot on the Corsa is fairly large. It's one of the biggest in its class. Certainly a lot bigger than things like the Minis and stuff like that you see. So quite a practical car, even for a small family, this is. Moving on to the rear. Well, I love the two-tone interior for a start. Red and grey. Looks really cool. Plenty of space back here. The seats are in very good condition. It's a little bit dark and dreary today, so it's probably not showing it off at its best, but it is quite a nice, well-presented car. And it's got three proper inertia seat belts along the back seat there, so it's very safe for 3 children in the back. You'd comfortably seat 2 adults in this car as well. 3 adults on a shorter run, certainly. The Corsa also has quite a lot of safety features on it. I left my key in there, so that's why it's beeping at me. Let me just half stick it out. These seats here have got side airbags built into them, and they do look quite cool. Being the SRI, they're a little bit more sporty than your average Corsa. A little bit more of a sort of support there, both for the lumbar and for your base. That's not a bad thing at all. It does really sort of seat you really well in there, but it is also very, very comfortable. You don't tend to find yourself moving about in the corners too much in this car. One thing that has been upgraded is the stereo system. I'll show you that properly in a minute, but it's got a DAB system fitted to it. And this particular one, being an SRI, has actually got cruise control. So it's a very high spec little car, this is. It's got front electric windows. The rear ones are manual. They're windy windows in the back. But that's pretty much what you would expect on this type of thing, I'd have thought. And, well, let's just jump in behind the wheel and show you properly. Very easy to get in and out of. It's quite a nice sort of height this car is, and it's not got too much of a sill there to climb over. So first of all, SRI models do tend to get a slightly upgraded trim. So this is all the high gloss sort of black interior trim that you get here. Would have had a different stereo when it was new. This is a DAB stereo, which has also got Bluetooth for your phone. So it brings the car right up to date. It's 2 things that I really would want on a car these days, is to have Bluetooth and also to have DAB. So both of those are addressed in this particular car. The interior itself is in very, very good condition. Glove box there, which has got the locking wheel nuts in, as well as my brand new MOT certificate, which has just been done. Moving across here, we've got quite a sporty steering wheel. It's trimmed in leather. You can probably see the stitch in there, which looks lovely. And on the end of the indicator stalk, there is cruise control. Again, something that I wouldn't normally expect to find in a car of this size, and certainly not in this price bracket, but something that you do get in this SRI spec. And that's the thing that really, for me, makes this car. I wouldn't buy the SRI spec necessarily just for the sporty looks, because, well, you know, I'm not that vain that I need to have them, but I would like to have that cruise control. That's something that I find very, very useful, and not a lot of Corsas have got that, but you do get it in the SRI model. And the rest of it, like the nice body kit and the wheels and the smarter seats, well, that's all a bonus for me, really. I'll start this car up so you can have a listen to it. Let's just turn that down. So that's the startup sequence. Just zoom in on that. You can see it's done 88,000 miles from new. Let's just turn that down and give it a rev for you. Four-cylinder engine in this, so a lot smoother than a lot of Super Minis. A lot of the new ones now have got 3 cylinders, and that might be great for the environment, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the nicest drive in the world. I personally prefer a 4-cylinder engine like this. They're a lot more sturdy as well. I'll just put the lights on quickly so as all these controls here light up as well to show you. We've got lovely, nice, simple heating controls for this car. I like that. That's what I would personally prefer to see anyway in any car. Nice and easy to use, and instantly you become familiar with them, and you don't need to take your eyes off the road to use them. The stereo system is a little bit more complicated, but you soon get used to it, and the fact that it's got Bluetooth on it really means it could save your license, that really. So it's something that I always look for in a car. Other things that I like in the Corsa are, well, it's got a fuel computer actually. If you see just above the mileage there's the 66 miles refer to how much I've got left in my tank. So that's something that I find very, very useful. And it's just very, very well laid out and feels quite well screwed together as well. This particular one is one of the nicest ones I've been in for some time of its year. You do always find this glove box is a weak point on them. Half the time, always check that. If it falls off in your hand, don't be surprised. But this one's all fine. But it seems to be that if that's treated roughly, it'll break. The car has got cup holders down here, and it's also, I think, got an aux point somewhere there, although that's probably now redundant with this Bluetooth stereo. Apart from that, well, it's all pretty simple. As I say, it has got parking sensors on the back, so you can switch them on and off using that button there. But overall, just a very easy car to drive, an easy car to live with, and I'm sure plenty of people will have driven or maybe even learned in a Corsa at some point in their driving career, and this 61 plate model is just perfect really, as they always have been. They're just a great car, the Corsas. I'll just turn that off quickly and show you back to the outside of it. All that's really left for me to say is, if you are in the market for something like this, obviously this car is now going to be available for sale on our website, and if you're in the market for something like this, give me a call. My number's 07932 873 646. It is a very, very nice spec, this car, and a very clean looking car as well. Plus it's only had a couple of owners from new, so it's not your average Corsa of this age really. There's plenty of rough ones out there. You know, a lot of them are going to be best avoided. This 1.4 engine's a good motor. It's got plenty of power in it as well. It really is the one that I'd be choosing in this sort of price range. So if you're in the market for it, give us a call. 07932 873 646 is my number. Happy to take Part X, and also happy to arrange delivery anywhere in the UK of this car. That number one more time is 07932 873 646. Thanks ever so much for watching. Hope it's been of interest, and we hope to see you very, very soon here at Ashton's Cars. But for now, it's goodbye from me.